But let's get into the Bruins because I know you have a time crunch today. Deadline's on March 6th. Real like Bruins. Don Sweeney said, I think it was on the Friday on Nesson or maybe Saturday on Nesson. He was like, "We're gonna be active in the trade market. We're gonna be paraphrasing here. We're gonna be looking to add if we can." Do you believe that the Bruins are gonna be buyers at the deadline?
So I think his exact wording, I heard this on maybe your great station of 93.7, that the Bruins want to be cautious buyers, which to me means nothing. That means they're not going to buy at all unless something comes on like a silver platter. Um, if you, if the Bruins were even a few points out of a playoff spot and there wasn't this momentum going for them right now, I think there's about five guys that could very easily have been traded for more prospects because like the Bruins system is as loaded as it's been in a dozen years at this point. Um, the guys that I would think were most likely to get dealt would be Victor Arvidsson and Casey Middlestat, just because they have relatively high AAVs for the next year or two. Actually, Arvidsson's up after this season, but those are the kind of pieces that you kind of sell off at the deadline to um, the highest bidder. They're going to want them for playoff runs, but at this point, whatever you're getting in return for what you want to give up is not as good as what you'd be giving up anyway, because you're not giving up prospects. You can think whatever you want about this team, whether they're good or bad. It's a fun team to watch, but this is the start of what they hope is 5, 10, 15 years of a new regime in Boston. So I don't personally see anything being dealt at the NHL level. I could definitely see them going and getting more prospects and trading um, guys, whether that's like Jordan Harris or Georgi Merkulov or lower guys who are either swinging between the AHL and NHL and don't really have a set spot. I could see them doing that to swing prospects or maybe a depth guy, but for the most part, I wouldn't expect anything big.
Do you see in the future, not necessarily this year, do you see in the future at all the Bruins being legit? Do you trust the office right now with Sweeney and Sturm right now? Do you trust those two to guide this team, or is there kind of one guy that stands out more than the other?
It's hard to say because I think it was kind of a litmus test last year when you allowed Don Sweeney to um, stay on and make those moves to pretty much mortgage all the good pieces you had left in Marchand and Carlo and Trent Frederick, all those guys.
I don't think I've
Um,
ever said this to you. I have an issue with Sweeney, so that's why I'm asking
yeah,
this question.
what's
I
your
have an
issue?
issue. I
He thinks he sucks.
I won't go on my whole tangent. To sum it up in a sentence, every bad thing that's happened to the Bruins has been Sweeney's fault.
I I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think your point is made more valid when you think about the fact that I would call his best trade deadline the trade deadline they had last year when he sold the entire team. And like that was the right move to do at that time. But if that's your best move, then I always think back to like Rick Nash in 2018 or something like that. Like just these weird random old plugs they grab. Um, I trust Sturm. I think Marco Sturm's been great this year. Um, maybe he might have even gotten out of the number four coach in Boston role. I mean, I don't know how you rank Cora and Missoula, but
Oh, we had that
um,
conversation last week.
did you guys?
We
We
Yeah,
we
have
had
right.
the
somebody who's not an avid listener. No, we debated who the best coach was, Vrabel or Missoula. I think it's between those two, and I think you still give Cora the nod, just because he has won a World Series here.
I think it's hands down Vrabel, obviously, but I might even put. I mean, right now it's Missoula for sure. I think all potential would be Cora when he's good, but um, no, I trust Sturm. And going back to the trade deadline, I mean, if they don't make a move for something to help this team this year, as far as at the NHL level, um, you could be looking at a couple of guys coming out of college at the end of the college season and being um, a pseudo kind of trade deadline addition. Um, Hagens and Laterno, both at BC, is, if I'm looking at it personally, I don't want them leaving early, especially in a Bruins run where they're they're not getting past the second round. They might sneak up and win a round or two. Um, but this is not a cup contending team, and I don't want Letourneau and Higgins wasting what could be another year at BC, developing together, playing on a line together with a couple other Bruins guys they have there at BC. But there are a few other guys. Trying to think of their names right now, but the prospect pool is deep right now. So you could be looking at Sweeney planning to get one or two of those college kids up as soon as they finish their season, and that's effectively your addition to the team going into the playoffs.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I think about the Bruins team as they currently are constructed, they're rebuilding. They're not cup contenders, like you said. The goal at the deadline shouldn't be to grab a piece that can maybe help you get from a round 1 exit to a round 2 exit. The goal should be, if there's somebody available who can be a long-term piece of this team, that's when you go out and grab them now. It doesn't seem like you're saying there's anybody in the market that looks like they're going to be dealt that could be someone that's a long-term piece for this franchise.
There are there's a handful of younger defensemen, which is where I would be looking more, because if you look at it, most of their prospects are forwards, and Higgins and Letourneau and Cooper Simpson and Don Sweeney and Blumel and all those guys. There's not a ton of defensive depth as far as prospects go. I wouldn't really have a problem with dealing off, like I said before, some of those swing guys that have gone between Boston and Providence this year for a guy like Braden Schneider from the New York Rangers, or I don't know, take your pick. There's a good amount of guys who are between 20 and 25 right now, haven't gotten the chance to play as much as they probably should with their teams. You can get a lot of those guys at a reasonable deal where you're not selling off top tier prospects, and it's not going to help the team this year necessarily, like to in any like massive way. But if you continue building towards the future with the core you have now, there's definitely a move to be made and get some of those depth pieces on defense.
I have an interesting question, not necessarily with the Bruins, but with the Olympic break that just ended. How much of a mental impact do you think winning or losing has to do with these players? So like, you look at all the Americans that just won the gold. They probably have the biggest ego boost of their life. But then you look at a guy, say Connor McDavid, who may not be the best mentally right now. And so so we look at other sports like the All-Star break or the Pro Bowl break. They don't really take it that seriously. But the Olympic break is the Olympic break. So do you think the Olympic break, how much of an impact do you think the results of the Olympic break will have on certain teams or players for the rest of the season?
Well, for the Bruins, I don't look at it as anything that's going to be a massive hindrance, only because the two guys that won were Swayman and McAvoy. Obviously, like you said, they're gods in their own head now, but the guys that didn't win, Czechia with David Pastrnak was never going to win. That wasn't a shock. And Korpisalo, Jokiharju, Lindholm, Korpisalo didn't play at all. Lindholm, I want to say, was a scratch for at least a few of those games, if not all of them. Like, it was kind of a mini vacation for them in a way. I especially for the guys that didn't play a lot, like, it's not a big tax on the body. So I wouldn't be worried about the Bruins guys. As far as the Canadian players, like, freaking poor McDavid, dude, like, he's getting ripped in Edmonton. Like, some guy being like, "You ever gonna figure it out?" He's like, "Oh, great question, man. Thanks." Like, dude, this is the best player in the world, and he's just coming up short. You would hope for a guy like that, it's like a sign of, it's like vengeance, like he's out to avenge his losses and stuff like that. But I don't know. You stick Matthew Tkachuk in front of Connor McDavid, and it's game over.
I know you have to run Skillings, so just speaking of the Olympics, we saw a goalie stand on his head and help carry this country to a gold medal. I can't help but look at that and the way Hellebuyck played, and he's the best goalie in the world, hands down, no questions. I mean, the paddle save where he extends out was just beautiful. And Swayman's not that. And I'm not saying you need to be that to win a cup, but realistically, are you starting to have doubts about Swayman? Because I say if you put Swayman in that game against Canada It's about 15-2 Canada. Do you realistically think that Swayman is the guy? Are you regretting his contract? Do you sure, I know Linus Ullmark is not playing any better than he is, but how much faith do you still have in Swayman? Because mine's starting to dwindle in Swayman.
It's been close to 2 years now since he got that new deal, right? Because it was the holdout ahead of the 2024 season. And I'm still not that low on Swayman. I think, what is he, 25, 26? Like, he's entering the athletic prime of his career, and he's also gone through a number of mental hurdles, whether that's overcoming, losing his goalie partner in Allmark, whether that's the struggles of last season when he was playing horrible. And he's had great stretches too, like in the 2023 playoffs or 2022, whenever he came up, he was great. I think you're going to finally see at some point the momentum start to swing for him because, again, he's one of the most athletically gifted goalies in the NHL. It's kind of just a matter of putting it all together, and I don't see him as lost at all. Can he make a run? Like, that's a completely different question that we really just don't know yet. But I don't think hope is lost at all by any stretch of the imagination.